All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live. Couple things to go over before we jump into the chat. First one is the ratings from Sonoma. This from Adam Stern on X. TNT Drama plus True TV got a 1.09 rating and 2.189 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series. Toyota Save Mart 350 at Sonoma, no direct comparison as last year's race there took place a month earlier and aired on broadcast TV, i.e. Fox. But that event got 2.8 million. So even though it was on TNT, basically cable TV, even given that, they only lost about 700,000 relative to last year, 600,000, depending on how you want to, round up or round down there. So pretty good performance there for the Sonoma race. I think those numbers bode very well for TNT and for cable and for NASCAR overall. So I think the ratings there are a big win, even though whenever they're on network TV, you're going to get, of course, more viewership and stuff like that because it's free TV. Everybody can see it. The other thing I wanted to jump on to here that I didn't cover or see on the previous episode on Monday, the Wood Brothers announced today a new partnership. This from Wood Brothers press release, by the way. The Wood Brothers today announced a new partnership with Advanced Auto Parts that will see the leading automotive aftermarket parts provider serve as the primary partner for one race for the number 21 Ford Mustang Dark Horse driven by Josh Berry for the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400 at Dover. That's this weekend on at Dover Motor Speedway. At Dover Motor Speedway on July 20th. So there you go. And you've got this. You see the car there in the thumbnail to the live stream. And Advance has a scheme, Advance Auto Parts scheme. They run this with Penske, of course, and it's a very similar scheme to Rusty Wallace when he ran the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac and then later the Ford. So it harkens back to Rusty Wallace. Of course, Josh Berry was the 2020 National Series champion in late model stock cars. And that is something that Advanced Auto Parts sponsors, the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. So that's something they sponsor. So it fits well. The partnership does. But basically seeing essentially what is a Rusty Wallace throwback, because that's kind of what Advance uses for their scheme, to see it on the classic number 21 of the Wood Brothers car. Let's talk about what Uncanny Valley is for those who are unaware of it. In robotics, Uncanny Valley, and sometimes when you're doing digital commercials and cartoons and stuff, Uncanny Valley is typically when a robot looks kind of human, but not quite exactly like human. There's this valley where it can look robot-y or it can look human. But there's this valley that dips in the middle where it doesn't exactly look like a human and it doesn't exactly look like a robot. And it's really weird to look at. If you the Tom Hanks movie with the train or whatever, a lot of people claim that the animation in that had sort of an uncanny valley appearance to it. And when I look at the number 21 with essentially what is a Rusty Wallace throwback scheme on it, it kind of dips into that uncanny valley to me, because Rusty Wallace throwback, super cool. Wood Brothers, anything they do, super cool, because they've been around for such a long period of time. But for some reason, when you put those two things together, it is really just this weird, on that paint scheme on the number 21 is just a weird uncanny valley thing to look at. I just don't know. It's sort of like Good Wrench on a Ford Mustang or something like that. It's just so weird. It's so weird to look at to me for some reason. And that is the poll question. Just me? Am I just, is it just me? Is the Advanced scheme Uncanny Valley because it looks like a Rusty Wallace throwback on the Wood Brothers number 21 car? Yes, no, too young to remember Rusty, so I don't know. Or let's talk about buttered sausages. Buttered sausages, of course, a throwback to Gary Busey. Gary Busey went off on a wild tangent about butter sausages, amongst other weird tangents that Gary Busey goes on from time to time. All right, let's jump into the chat and see what you all want to talk about. Rusty's car made Miller Genuine Draft cool to drink again. Indeed, it did. Indeed, it did. MGD, the old number 2 car, good looking scheme. Rusty Wallace had one season with the Pontiac, I think, where he won close to 10 or 12 races, maybe 9 or 10 races. He had a killer year, but he had a lot of DNFs that year too. So didn't get the championship that year. But I remember that car being very, very dominant back in the day with nearly 4,300 U.S. locations. Raleigh-based Advanced Auto Parts joins Wood Brothers. Could the Wood Brothers be eyeing a second charter? And could the captain be loaning the funds to afford the charter number 2? Says Jamie Schwitzer. That's a good question. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know if the Wood Brothers want to expand. I think they're sort of happy with the role, but does Roger Penske want to expand and get like another car going on over there? That's a great question to ask. I haven't heard anything about it, but it's certainly an interesting idea to throw out there and think about. So for sure. For sure. Good deal there. Hey, y'all, please hit the button on your way in. It's free, says Rosie. So yeah, if you want to hit the like button, it would be much appreciated. About the poll, Barry having an identity attached to him would be good, says FIA 390. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Josh Berry has a pretty good identity attached to him as it goes so far anyway. He is a 2020 regional champion, or not regional, but he's a national champion for late model stocks. So I feel like he's got he's got credentials for sure. Did great in the Xfinity Series driving for Junior Motorsports. He's attached to Dale Jr. If you know anything about the late model stock side of things, Junior Motorsports before Josh Berry and after Josh Berry is a totally different entity. With Josh Berry as the driver and with his feedback and things like that, he certainly helped. And I want to say helped because it's a whole organization over there, but he certainly was a big piece in helping that organization get to where it is today, which is a dominant organization no matter where they go, no matter what series they run. If you see that 88 or if you see the 8 or whatever car they're running, you know that the car is going to be fast, and you know that they're most likely going to have a really good driver in that car, i.e. Carson Voppel. They got his name escapes me off the top of my head right now, but he's a national champion right now, regionals, or the Advanced Auto national champion, Connor Hall. Connor Hall driving it now. So always look back to that moment when Josh Berry was first there as to why they are the powerhouse they are now. So he's built a name in the late model stock community, much like Kyle Larson has with the dirt community. So late model stock guys, a lot of them tend to like Josh Berry and get along with him really well. And he does race occasionally as much as he can, I think, in the Saturday night series. So he's very active in that community as well, just like Kyle Larson would be. So he's got that part of his identity built up. But as far as a paint scheme goes, I don't know that people necessarily, I agree with you on that. I don't know necessarily that people just yet associate him with the 21. But I still think, to your point, I think when you look at this paint scheme, I think people associate it the most with Ryan Blaney. So when you look at this paint scheme, I think if you're just glancing at it on the track, you're going to be like, oh, there's Ryan Blaney, until you focus in and realize that it's the 21. And if you're dyslexic, that's going to be a really difficult situation because the 21 and the 12 are just transposed. So going to be a tough day. If you're not really focusing on either Blaney or either Josh Berry. So I don't know necessarily that that's going to help his brand, but for sure, at some point, I think he would be the guy that you're going to associate with the 21, especially if he can stay in it for a long period of time, which I think he will, no doubt about it. Let's see. Don't stand in the way. You won't get clipped is the lesson learned there, says Jamie Schweitzer, talking about the Ty Gibbs incident with who was it? Brad Keselowski coming in behind him and the tire carrier. He was standing a little bit wide or went a little bit early, depending on what you want to call it. But either way, I don't think Ty Gibbs necessarily slid it in there, was doing anything egregious. So it is what it is. I don't think he did anything on purpose. Of course, everybody's welcome to their opinion. A lot of people don't like Ty Gibbs, so they're going to say that he did it on purpose, but it is what it is. What's up in between the lanes? Dirty Def, what's up, my friend? Always good to see you guys on here. Hope Denny doesn't have to sell his house, says Delmer Kaufman. I think they'll be all right. So a couple things, and he's talking about the lawsuit here, by the way. So a couple things with that. I don't think that it would be in the best interest. I know NASCAR can do it. I know NASCAR probably is threatening to do it. So as far as that goes, I don't know. I don't think that it would be in NASCAR's best interest to sell those charters from this perspective. if another team is coming in and wants to buy those charters, it might dissuade them from wanting to be a part of NASCAR. So there's a fine line. Like NASCAR, don't get me wrong, NASCAR wants to make a statement that, hey, you don't play with us. This is our thing. This is what we're going to do. So I think as far as that goes, they're trying to send a message to the other teams, but it's also a fine line because the other teams, potential teams that would buy those charters, are you going to scare them off if you essentially bully 2311 in Front Row Motorsports? It might be the way that they perceive it. I'm not saying NASCAR is bullying them. I'm saying the other people that potentially would buy those charters, they could definitely look at it from that perspective. And then there's going to be the other perspective of where they don't care. They don't care how they get a charter. They're just glad that a charter became available. So it'll be an interesting way that all of this shakes out. But I don't think Denny Hamlin is going to have to help sell his house anytime soon. We'll put it to you that way. Let's see. Polar Express says In Between Lanes. That's the Tom Hanks movie I was trying to think about. Yeah, Polar Express. A lot of people think that movie is Uncanny Valley with the animation that we were talking about earlier. Did Josh Berry wreck Hocevar on purpose, says OJ and Toothpaste? I think he did. Dale Jr., who I just mentioned, Dale Jr., there's no bigger fan of Josh Berry than Dale Jr. Like I said, he basically was one of the big parts to help establish that late model team. Something that is near and dear to Dale Jr.'s heart is that late model team. I would say he's good friends with Josh Berry, and for Dale Jr. to come out and say there's pretty much nothing you can say about that. That was pretty straightforward. He wrecked him there on purpose. I mean, to me, it's cut and dry. Josh Berry did wreck Carson Hocevar on purpose. Now, what I would like to see, was there context to, did something happen earlier in the race that made Josh Berry mad at Carson Hocevar, or was this payback from something that happened earlier in the season with Carson Hocevar? But do I think it was on purpose? There's no question in my mind it was on purpose. No problem. And I mean, no doubt in my mind about that. As someone who grew up a Rusty fan, that scheme doesn't match up for me. The colors match, but it's I think his Berry scheme is fine. I just don't think Rusty, when I see it, says Jesse Daly. So there you go. Jesse Daly doesn't see it that way. Rusty's scheme the only difference to it for me is a little bit the line goes up. Rusty's line was just straight across. So that's the only real to me, the only real departure from it. But it is what it is. Let's see. Penske should be allowed to expand to a true fourth in-house car. Chevy has HMS with 4, and Toyota has JGR running 4 as well. After SHR folded, Ford is left with only a 3-car team with a 4th car for Wood Brothers Racing, says Charlotte. Yeah, so basically Penske, is the 4-car team. But like you're saying, it's not technically a 4-car team, but it is as far as that goes, because they prepare all the cars for the 21 gang, and then the 21 gang puts their own tune on it or works on it on Sundays and Saturdays when they get practice sessions. But yeah, Chevy and JGR are the 4-car teams, which is interesting that Ford doesn't have one. So, and I don't think NASCAR did that on purpose. I don't think NASCAR necessarily could have foreseen that SHR was going to close doors. I think SHR would have been grandfathered in with that 4-car exemption that Hendrick and JGR got. But going forward, it'll be super interesting to see if Ford can petition to get a 4th car for Penske, and then does Penske still keep the tight alliance with the Wood Brothers? I mean, kind of, and you can make the same argument. Hendrick has more than those cars. If they have such a tight alliance with Spire, does Hendrick have more